Let's put our seatbelts on. Buckle up, everybody. Donald Trump is putting economic pressure to take your country. Canadians, I'm appealing to you that this is the time of more unity against Donald J. Trump. In this video, I'm going to address Pierre Poilievre must stop his irrational criticism of the government. The fact that you are in opposition doesn't necessarily mean every now and then, regardless of the situation, you just have to criticize. That's politics of delusion. That's being as irrational as Donald J. Trump. Recently, Mr. Carney's team, they were negotiating a trade deal after Donald J. Trump had threatened 50% tariffs imposed on Canada. There was an invocation of a statute, which is, I understand, which is 196 years old, which has never been used by any president. He evoked that statute to try and impose 50% tariffs on Canadian goods entering the United States. As I said in the other video, Canada exports things like lumber, hog sticks, crude oil, to name just but a few. So Mr. Carney had made a lot of concessions in negotiation, and in the last 24 hours before they could sign the deal, Donald Trump was demanding more concessions. Mark Carney, being an economist himself, he had no option but just to call his team back to Ottawa, back to Canada. Come back home, guys. No trade deal. He couldn't be making concessions that would mortgage the future of this country. Unfortunately, we heard from the leader of opposition, Pierre Poilievre. He was addressing some people in Vancouver. I was listening. He was holding a press conference in Vancouver. He made a statement like Stephen Harper, his former boss, negotiated a very good deal for Canada. Mr. Carney says he was going to get a very good deal for Canada. Up to now, he has no good deal for Canada. Mr. Poilievre, can I ask you to be rational for a minute? Be a rational man for just 1 minute. Throw your irrationality off the window and be a rational man for just 1 minute. Whom did Stephen Harper deal with as an American president when he was the Prime Minister of Canada? Most of his term, he dealt with Barack Hussein Obama. In the early days, he dealt with George Walker Bush. The two men, George W. Bush and Barack Obama, horrible to this whimsical and capricious Donald J. Trump. How dare you compare the time of Stephen Harper in office dealing with Barack Hussein Obama and right now when the whole world is dealing with the most irrational human being on planet Earth? Carney couldn't just mortgage the future of this country. He decided to say, no, we have made enough concession. Enough is enough. We have our own people to protect. Carney is the Prime Minister of Canada. He is not the governor of the state of Canada, answerable to Donald Trump. He had to stand his ground. I've heard even some podcasts in the United States, those left-wing leaning cast, congratulating Mr. Carney for not signing a stupid deal with Donald J. Trump. So here is what I'm appealing to you, Pierre Poilievre. You might be in opposition as an opposition leader. I know you are power hungry. You want to be power. You are a megalomaniac. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you are a Canadian. You are speaking on an international issue. You have to come together, offer help, and see where you can help. Carney reached out to Stephen Harper for help on how to deal with the Americans and issues involving Canada and the United States. But yourself, you're just full of criticism and criticism. Attacked you. This is something fundamentally wrong with this leader of the opposition. That's not the way we do politics. Here's one thing also Canadians need to be aware with all these trade talks. Donald J. Trump, when he at the beginning of his second term, he said he wants Canada to be the state of United States. He wants to add Canada to being the state of United States. And he was asked, how are you going to do it? He says, through economic pressure. He is hitting you where it is vulnerable. He knew that the two economies are meshed up. They are intermingled. They are tied together. And most of Canadian businesses, they depend on American market. He says he is going to put economic pressure. This could be one of the economic pressure, one aspect of it. He has evoked a law which has never been used in history. There was an invocation, a statute, which has never ever been used by any president in the history of the United States, so as to impose 50% tariffs. Pierre said of Mr. Carney says he is going to have the best deal for Canada. Stephen Harper negotiated the best deal. No, this is the time to say we are behind Carney. Whatever he's doing, we are behind him. If he needs help in getting the best deal, if he needs support from us, we can support him. You are a Canadian. You are born and raised in Canada. You want to maintain the sovereignty of this country. Okay, Mr. Poilievre, do you know that Donald Trump is also supporting the separatist movement of Alberta? He has put tons of money into that movement. All these separatists, they've made numerous trips to Washington and met with Donald Trump. He's interested in destroying this country or making the first state of the United States to add it to the states of the United States. This could be one of the tactics. He wants Alberta to separate. He wants to take the entire Canada. And his son, Donald Trump Jr., immediately after his father has taken the White House, he posted the AI-generated video showing Canada being the 51st state of the United States. Poilievre, please, we ask you to be a rational man. Come together. In times of crisis, Carney is navigating the country through troubled waters. He's steering the country through troubled waters. I understand when Carney took office, Canada was exporting 80% of its export to the United States. Only 20% went somewhere. I understand that there have been a reduction. I haven't looked at official figures, but just listen to podcasts. There have been a reduction. It's now 72%, which we have to congratulate him. To Mr. Carney, this is the time to find new markets for Canadian exports. The world is not United States. We have the entire Europe. We have Asia. We have South America. Those people everywhere, they need goods. Unfortunately, it's like Canada has always been exporting raw materials like a third world country. The Canadian goods which are exported to the United States are lumber, aluminum, steel, and crude oil. While there is this trade impasse, trade deadlock with the United States, Poilievre, on the other hand, is still an advocate of building pipelines to ship crude to the Americans. Yeah, Americans get our crude. We have a situation where Canada, Alberta, has the fourth largest oil producer in the world. But they mine the crude, pipeline it to the United States, Americans refine it, and sell it back to Canada as finished product. That's shame. As I said in the other video, we have North African countries that have their own refineries. They don't depend on having their oil being refined by some other blowjob somewhere. Some other blowjob doesn't refine their oil. They refine it themselves. It's their own product. It's coming from their own ground. And Mr. Poilievre, building pipelines. Building pipelines to where? Refine your own oil in Alberta. Refine your own oil in the east of Canada. You could mine it and build a national pipeline and refine it in New Brunswick and refine it in Nova Scotia. Pierre Poilievre, another irrational Trump-like man, he has posted a video which he was saying, call 911. Gas prices are up, ladies and gentlemen. Gas prices are up. And he was blaming the gas price on Mark Carney. I think a 5-year-old on the street is aware that gas prices, they've gone up due to the Donald J. Trump's military aggression and called for military aggression in Iraq, of which you went on American podcast and supported Donald Trump's military aggression in Iran and said Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Who appointed USA to be the police of the world? Who decides who gets any type of weapon? There is something fundamentally wrong with the people. How dare you support an invasion of a sovereignty country and say they can't have this weapon? I have never seen any statute in the world that says America is the policeman of the world. It gets to decide who gets what weapon and who doesn't get what weapon. Poilievre, for a moment, listen, or somebody comment if I'm wrong. Gas prices have gone up due to the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, due to American military aggression in Iran, an invasion of a sovereign country, an unprovoked attack on a sovereign country, and said they can't have this weapon. You are not the policeman of the world. Countries decide their best form of defense. And gas prices have gone up higher as a result of an unwarranted military aggression from this delusional, this unpredictable, this irrational president of United States, this convicted felon, this pedophile. And also on the gas prices, when in 1980, Pierre, if you can recall, Trudeau, the father of Justin, Pierre Trudeau, then the Prime Minister, had the National Energy Program. Alberta having the fourth largest oil reserves in the world. It came to the attention of Pierre Trudeau, another Pierre, a more rational Pierre this time, not Poilievre. We have the largest oil reserves, one of the largest in the world, the fourth largest. However, we are paying the highest oil price in the world. Now, here is what he thought. He had a novel idea. Let's create a national energy program where we cap our oil prices under the world market so that Canadians, they pay less at the pump than the rest of the world because we are consuming our own resources. Unfortunately, this had unintended consequences, which I mentioned in the video, which I call Alberta will never separate. Companies started packing their bags and leaving Alberta. Unemployment rose in Alberta. The unfortunate thing again is that Albertan oil sands are being mined by these foreign countries, and most of them being the Americans as well. When he did that, these companies started packing their bags, unemployment rose, and Alberta lost 100 billion Canadian dollars, $100 billion Canadian in revenue as the consequences of Pierre Trudeau creating the National Energy Program. And he had to walk back. He had to repeal it 4 years later in 1984. Right now, unfortunately, our oil prices are tied up to the international oil market, though we have one of the largest oil reserves. This is what is causing the oil prices to rise. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz as a result of unprovoked military aggression by Donald J. Trump on Iranian sovereignty, Iranian government, where he has killed not soldiers in the battlefield, but school children on school property. They've been bombed. Pierre, you are one of the people who irrationally kiss up to Donald Trump, kiss up to American Trump on his military aggression. But you then go on and say, buckle up everybody, call 911, gas prices are up. This is due to Mark Carney's government. Mark Carney has nothing to do with the closure of Hormuz. Pierre Trudeau's plan of national energy program had succeeded. Said that it did not have these unintended consequences of rising the unemployment from 4% all the way to 12%. Companies packing their bags and leaving. If it had succeeded, Canada would be insulated from the world oil prices. It would have the price of oil of its own. And probably he could have created refineries in Canada, refine your own oil. There is a North African country where they mine their own oil, they refine it themselves, and they sell it themselves to their own people and export some of it as a refined product. And guess what? Oil in that country is less than $1 a gallon. It's 50 cents. For $1 American, you buy 2 gallons of gas. You can fill up your car for $5. You can fill up the tank of your car, because they are masters of their own destiny. They are masters in their own house. They don't depend on a foreign country to refine their oil and sell it back to them. No, they refine it themselves, sell it to their own people, and export the finished products to the rest of the world. Poilievre blaming Carney for the oil prices, which is being caused by this unprovoked aggression by this warmonger, this pedophile, this convicted felon, this irrational man, this unpredictable man, this whimsical man, this capricious man. We ask that if you find our content intriguing, you must like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Mark Carney and the government and your team, this is time to come together. This is a wake-up call. Diversify your trade. Trade, as I said in my other video, trade to United States should be less than 20% of Canadian products. All Canadian goods should be exported to Europe, to Asian countries, South America. There are a lot of countries in the world that need Canadian products. Russia needs Canadian products. Ukraine, they're in a war. Very soon they'll be rebuilding, assuming that this war doesn't keep on going. They'll be rebuilding. They'll need Canadian lumber there. They'll need aluminum there. They'll need steel there. And all these European countries, they play hockey. They need Canadian hockey sticks and Canadian hockey equipment, the helmets, the skates. They need all those things. Stop exporting everything to the Americans. This is what have led us in this quagmire. We are being held at ransom by this irrational man, the president of the south of the border, this whimsical man. Trump, as I said, he used the 96-year-old statute, never been used before, to override CUSMA, Canada, US, Mexico, a trade agreement. Trump has proved by any measure and standard to be unreliable, cunning, and he is also a liar. You should know that he is a convicted felon who lied about his business dealings, convicted by not 2, not 3, but 34. And he has also been found liable by the court of law of raping a woman. He's a rapist too. Unfortunately, this is what is going to happen. Tariffs will increase the cost of living on both sides of the border. They increase the cost of living in the United States. Building material, hockey sticks, steel, aluminum. They will increase the cost of all those things to the United States. As Carney said that they are going to impose retaliatory tariffs on American goods, of which the unfortunate thing is Canada imports finished products, computers, cell phones, lights, all electronics, they come from United States. Electrical equipment comes from United States. They are made by the American companies. They've had this malaise, for we just give them raw material and they make stuff for us. They've never been the initiative of economic independence on the Canadian part. Canadians have never initiated to have economic independence. They've overly relied on Americans to do everything for them. Import all computers, we'll get them from the States. One time I was in one of these shopping malls. There was a section of that shopping mall which didn't have lighting. And I was talking to one of the cleaners there. We had a conversation with this gentleman. He told me that the company that does the lights in that shopping mall comes from United States. You mean we can't have a company that can do lighting here? We have to rely on Americans to come and feed some lights in a shopping mall. We have to rely on Americans making everything for Canada, including refining oil for Canada and then importing it back as finished product. You can't refine your own oil. Is Canada that it is dumber than the North African countries that are refining their own oil? The answer is a resounding no. But it's only that they've been too much laid back. This cozy relationship which we have with the American will go on to infinity. We don't have to worry. We just build pipelines, as Poilievre always supporting building the pipelines to the Americans, and then export. The Americans, they just refine it and sell it back, and you have big tankers of gas coming through across the border with the refined oil, with the refined gasoline coming back to Canada for the Canadian gas stations. That situation is unsustainable and has proved to be unreliable. It is undermining the independence and the sovereignty of this country. You have too much relied on Americans for too long. It's time to buckle up and have economic independence. There are even third world countries that are making the initiative to manufacture certain things for themselves. In closing, let me just say, Pierre, be a rational being. Stop criticizing the government where criticism is not called for. Maybe you are overstepping this. You have a misunderstanding. As an opposition, your job is to hold the government accountable. But there are certain foreign issues where you come together as a country and fight together as a country. You don't have to be criticizing every now and then and give ridiculous examples. Like Stephen Harper negotiated the best deal. Whom did Stephen Harper deal with? Barack Obama, who always used expressions like our friends to the north, our closest ally, our best trading partner. Barack had the most cozy relationship with this country I've ever seen. And most Democrats presidents, they do. If we were to wake up one day with this man gone, billions of people around the world would be celebrating. I'm telling you, including in third world countries. The entire Europe will be celebrating the demise of this man because he's a thorn in the flesh. He's a pain in the neck. This man called Donald J. Trump is the worst human being ever known to human mankind. It's very cruel, very, very cruel. Imagine a man who is bombing other people's children. And Pierre, understand that the gas prices are being raised by the crisis in the Middle East, the Strait of Hormuz, and the unprovoked military aggression by the United States, your friends, whom you went on a podcast and supported. FS is the policeman of the world. He has to decide who has what type of weapon or type of weapon. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and share.